welcome back to the Spider's Web, and in this video we're going to be painting Swerglemergle the Ettin. Swergle and Mergle joined together at the body. Make a good politician, incredibly two-faced, as you can see. Right, so what we're going to do, big model, so I've not got it on a usual paint jar because too big, so I'm just going to hopefully be able to turn it round with just the stand. And you may have noticed that I've not really gone too heavy with the primer because I don't really need to. So where do we start? The question I keep asking myself, where do I start? Right, we're going to start with the flesh tones, and they are going to be Bugman's Glow. So, we will get some of the paints on our palette, like so. We need quite a bit of this because he's a bit of a big bugger. And what we don't do in the first part of this video, we'll probably end up mixing to make paler for the second half of the video. So let us cover all the skin areas with Bugman's Glow. Now again, I'm not being too fussy over where this goes because this is the first coat of paint that's going on it other than the primer, and as such we can paint over it. As long as everywhere is, all the flesh area is covered with this, that is all I'm concerned about at the moment. So that's all we're going to do. This Bugman's Glow is a nice sort of like rich tanned flesh colour. Why am I doing that when I just want this to be, I want this brush just to do the big areas. I get caught up sometimes doing little fiddly bits than doing the big areas that I'm using the brushes for. But then again, it just shows, I suppose it shows I've got an attention for detail. Or it could just be that I keep losing track of things and just trying to get things done. I don't know. So, never mind. It's a big model, this actually. As I say, I did actually take it off. I put it on the paint pot, and it just looked lost on it. So that's why I took it off. Then I decided to try putting it on one of the rattle can, one of the primer lids, and I'd have really had to heighten or raise the level of the camera to film it. So I thought I'll just take it off. I can hold on to the base. The base is wide enough. Hopefully I can just get away with that. And there we go. And we don't really need to do much else on the legs because he's wearing some form of boot, like a homemade boot made of animal skin. Yeah. Now I'm going to have to be much more careful how I've got this positioned on camera when it comes down to doing the detailed stuff, because I would assume that I'm going to lose some of the some of the miniature because it is, as I say, that big. I suppose I could raise the camera a little, but you'd miss some of the detail if I did that, so I don't want to do that. Oops. And just work how we can with this. Hopefully we can get it done. Now I'm going to change brushes now because this one is way too big for what I want. There we go. And I'm going to a slightly smaller brush, which is the one we usually use for the big stuff, and that's the number 2 brush, Rosemary & Co. And there we go. So I'll just go over the flesh areas with this. And that should be that. Whether or not we'll need a wash on these, I don't know, because let's face it, big enough. You know, we can see the detail, but so I'm just making sure all the flesh areas are done. Because better off making sure and having it done than not making sure and having to go back later, especially if you've done a wash and you've only just noticed when you come to highlight that part of the model hasn't been painted. There we go. And next, a little bit here that needs a bit of a touch up. There we are. That is that for the flesh tones. Now, unfortunately this is not one that we can just get away with just doing washes on, because there's a lot of detail in these, and I've just realised there is more flesh to do. He's not actually wearing boots, he's just got some wraps around his ankles. How could I not see those big feet? Okay, so we'll just finish off his little footsies, and then we can continue. Oops. With the model proper. Okay, so that is that. Next, what we're going to do is using using what, I wonder. I'm going to just take some of the paint off the beard here because it looks as though it is actually flooded some of the detail, and we don't want that to happen. So that's that done. Okay, next, whereabouts are we with those pieces? Okay, right, I've just noticed I have missed a little bit of the skin tone back of his leg here. This is something that we're going to have to cover. So you better get it done. That's that. Next, I think what I'm going to do next is what am I going to do next? What am I going to do next? Because the amount of paint that's gone on there now, can't do really much until it dries. Tell you what I'll do, I'll leave that for the time being. Why have I just washed my brush again? Duh. We're going to go back to our previous mini, which was the Earth Elemental. I've put the sand on the base and I've painted it black. Let's just finish off this one, give that the Ettin a chance to dry properly. So while we're doing that, I'm popping back on the little grippy thing and using the fang. First off, get some on our dry brush. And we just go over it as much as we can, all over. We don't want to completely cover the black. So that's that bit done. Next, making sure the dry brush is dry. We want the Administratum Grey. I'm going to get rid of him, put him out of the way for a moment, give him a chance to dry. And we want this one. And again, we want a little bit of paint on the brush. I'm putting it on, wiping it off on there, and then wiping it off on a paper towel. And then we'll just, once again, rub it gently over the sand that's on the base, like so. And now that's that bit done. In fact, that's that bit not done because it doesn't seem to have covered anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dry it off again and try it once more. Just to be a little more visible than what it is. Okay, so I'll try it once more. That's better. And that's Administratum Grey. And now finally, to finish off, we want the white scare, which is that colour. White, surprisingly enough. And we'll pop some of that on our brush, wipe it off, and then just touch it over the raised areas, just like so. And we don't want it on his hand. There we are. That's that bit done. But as I think you might see now we've done that, he looks a little dark. So what we're going to do now is, using some of the extreme highlight colour that we used previous, which was Pallid Witch Flesh, we're going to take a little bit of that on our larger dry brush. And we're just going to go over, let's say, some of the incredibly high points of this mini. just to brighten him up that little bit. There we go. That's all we need to do. He's done now. So that's the the earth elemental done. Now let's bring this fella back out. Has he dried enough to be able to use? It looks as though he has. So let's do him, shall we? Next job. Here we go, here we go, here we go. We are doing his hair and beard. So, iron oxide. And we'll add a little bit of that to our pellets. Like so. We'll wash that brush out and then getting our number 2 brush back out again. Into the iron oxide. And as I say, now for some reason this doesn't seem to be running, or this doesn't seem to be sticking onto the primer that we put on. So we may need a couple of coats of this. The primer doesn't seem to have worked on this particular model, so I'm not too happy about this, to be honest. Everything is covered grey. It was actually that colour to start off with, and as you can see it's grey, but it's grey and slippy, so I may not be able to get away with actually doing all of this in 1 or 2 videos. I may have to come back to certain parts and but then again, if I have to come back to things, I'll do that mainly off camera, just so I can continue. But it is going to be, as it looks now, it looks as though it's going to be a bit of a pain in the neck job to get this guy done. Even after giving him a couple of coats of the primer, it's not taken at all. So this is one that I'm afraid you're going to have to bear with me on by the look of it, because I can't continue to paint until everywhere that I want to paint is covered with the previous, or with the base coat, etc. But we'll try our best to get it done as quick, not as quick as we can, but I'll try and get the videos done as quick as we can for you. I think what I may need to do is use a thicker paint rather than watering it down as much as I am doing. It's not advisable to use thick paint because, as we say, it can obscure detail. However, sometimes a thick paint is what you should use, because in a situation like this, and this has been given a wash, I hasten to add. It's not just what do you call it? It's not I can't really say it's release agent that's stopping it sticking, but it has been given a wash. I don't know what it is, whether it's the plastic or there's something in the plastic that's stopping the thing sticking, I don't know. But unless I just haven't got all of the release agents off, I don't know. But it does not seem to like the paint as I'm putting it on. It's not but I've done this exactly the same way as I've done all the other miniatures from this set and all the other miniatures period, but first time I've had this issue. Especially with a plastic miniature. Usually I find plastic is very, very forgiving. The metal ones I usually find are a little more challenging to paint, but not in this instance. So I'm just going to keep adding paint until everywhere that I need covering is covered. It won't take too long. And it's almost done now. There we are. Next job, while that is drying, is the pelt he's using here. I'm going to do this grey. So the grey I'm going to be using is Eshin Grey to start off. I'll just add some to the palette. Well, I've got some on this. Oops. I've got some on this brush. I might as well go along and use it. So I'm trying to look at things here that there we go. I don't want to waste paint, you see, so I'm quite happy to use this big brush if I can. You know, if there's a lot of paint that needs using and it's on the brush and you can get away with using that particular brush, then do so. No, paint is expensive. Just get on with that. Change brushes now to a smaller brush because the brush was running out of paint. Plus I needed to get into edges a little more. There we go. Now we have this area to do. I was going to say please let me know if I go off camera, but I'm not doing this live, so even if you did tell me, it would be too late. So I'm just going to try and keep an eye on the viewing screen of the video and hope I don't go off. And if I do, and I catch it, I hope I've not gone off too much. There we are. And that's the loincloth thingy. Next, what we want to use is for the club. It's going to be another brown. It's wood. You know which one it is because I use it all the time for wood. It's dryad bark. So we'll get some of that on our palette. I don't need a great deal of that, but we need enough. Again, I've got some of this on my brush, so let's just bap it on. I know not all of this is going to be wood. I would say these little jutty outy bits are going to be bone or some such, so they'll be painted accordingly, but at the moment it's just to do a bit of a base coat on them. There we are. And what do you know, the only part that we really need to worry about on this in the line of detail is just this little stubby, oh no. Right, let's clean that brush and get a slimmer brush out because there is detail around the hand area. So let's see if I can get this with this brush. Okay, I've gone over some of the skin. I'll go over that again, that's not a problem. We have the paint for the skin still on the palette, as you can see, so I'm not really bothered if I go over. And also do this piece as well. Although I think that's bone actually. But never mind, we'll carry it on. Yep. Next. No, not next at all, because I've missed a little bit on the top of this club. There we are. Okay. Now we'll try again. Next. We have a lot of skulls and bones attached to this character. So, Screaming Skull. That's the one we're going to use next. Okay, so we'll get a dollop of that on our palette. Scrape the excess off because I'm not using this big brush for this part. And here we go. So it's skulls and bones being filled in here. So we have a couple of skulls attached to his belt here. And you have a bone here. If you think it looks like a bone, paint it as a bone. If you don't think it looks like a bone, don't paint it as a bone. Yeah, I think that's the easiest way of saying what to paint and what not to paint. I'm going to paint that as a bone because I think it looks like it could be one. Which is that. I'm also going to paint these wraps around his ankles. And that bit I just painted actually on his ankle, I think, is just the leading edge of the wrap that's come loose. And there we go. And it doesn't look as though the actual primer has adhered itself to the model here. It's all had a similar covering every miniature. And I've gone over it once, possibly twice, give it a fine coating, let it dry and then give it another fine coating. Unfortunately sometimes, and it's rare this happens, that you'll find that there's something with the plastic that stops it sticking properly. It's happened once or twice before, and that's after, as I say, giving it a wash. You always put in soapy water and then give it a bit of a brush with an old toothbrush or a cheap toothbrush that I buy for the job. There we go. So what we can do now is just let it dry, and then come back to it and touch up where needed. One of those things can't be helped, but I'm going to go over all of this piece here because I think it's all bone, and it's all and what isn't bone is like the wraps like that we did for the for his legging, not legging, around his ankle. So that's all going to get the same wash. There we are. I think that is basically all I can do really for this miniature. I'm going to go back now and just touch up a few bits on the skin that I have either marked with other, I've been doing other colours, or that I've just noticed that I've missed completely, like here around the musculature in his leg, around his knee. You know, it's a case of trying to be as observant as you can, especially with these big models, trying to find the areas that you've either missed or you painted somewhere else and caught it. It's just a case of just watch what you're doing and there we are. Hopefully we haven't missed much on this. Doesn't look as though we have. But this is a decent sized model. It's and it's one I'd really prefer to get done as best as I can. That looks fine at the moment. His hand. I knew there was something. His hands needed another coat of this colour because some of the prime was still showing through. Okay, not a big job. Be better putting on smaller and thinner coats than doing thick coats and blocking out detail. Okay, so all that I need to do next is the pouch. For the pouch, rather than get a fresh paint colour out, I'm going to get some of the dryad bark and mix in some of the screaming skull, just to make a palish colour, and then we'll go over this pouch with this colour. There we are, that's all we can do with this. I'm going to leave this to dry and then go back and see what else I need to do, and when we come back it will be ready for highlighting, but like I said, because of the way the paint's sticking or not sticking as the case may be, I'm just going to have to keep working on this, and I'll do so off camera because I don't want to bore you with all the details. So there we are. That's so far. So when we come back we'll be ready to carry on all of this, because I've missed another little bit of the skin here between the toes. There's that one. I'll get that one as well. There we are. As I say, when we come back it'll be when he's ready for painting properly or highlighting. So there we go. That what I really don't like doing this. I prefer to do this or leave it after a what do you call it, after I've given it a wash. But as I said, because of the way the paint is behaving, or in this case not behaving, it's probably not a good idea to do it in the way I usually do. So what I'm going to do, as I say, wait till it dries, go back, check it over and make sure it's right for paint, and then when we come back we can give it a wash and carry on the highlights. Okay, so until next time, as always, take care, God bless, and bye for now.